You have a very pleasant morning with some breakfast. So we will start today's agenda. We are now having some schedule, as you can see on the screen today. But I don't see Lauro and Mr. PT. Mr. PT is having a meeting, right? So maybe we're waiting for Lauro, and this afternoon we will have Sawalak to join us together. So thank you for joining us early. Now we're going to have the internal matters discussion, continue yesterday discussion. So hopefully we can resume the discussion from yesterday, because there is one remaining agenda last night, and hopefully we can discuss more elaborative, and then getting more information from you. The next agenda is we will have guest resource persons from the former ICHAR representatives from Indonesia, Ms. Dina Praptora Harja, about the understanding of ASEAN political security community conference, especially to monitor the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan 2025. So after the session with Ms. Dina, we will have lunch, and then after lunch, we will continue the core of our agenda today, which is getting ourselves ready to write a statement for tomorrow's conference with the ASEAN political security community. So this afternoon session will have a group discussion and writing workshop with Mr. Daniel Awiga from Human Rights Working Group. So Daniel is already here in the back. So thank you so much. Hopefully we will have a fruitful discussion, and then all the outcomes will be achieved today. Thank you so much, and I would like to invite Bapak Sazali to start the first agenda on internal matters of ASEAN Security Forum. Pak, please come forward. Thank you.
Yesterday we missed this table. I mean the last night. So now the table is in here. Maybe.
Very good morning, everyone. I hope that everyone is feeling good. thank Almighty for all the sessions that we had yesterday and today coming to the second part of our program. The second day. So it is very important with the discussion that we had start yesterday and a couple of issues or matters in a way being actually highlighted and solved. So within the region, obviously, we respect each other. We respect our rights and our being as leaders at this level. Yeah, and I think we should not forget the objective of ADF itself, and we're trying to actually improve the life of people with disabilities throughout the region. So today is the second day, and I know there's a lot of things that we actually need to work on. Basically, on the writing of the session for political and security in the afternoon, I think that is very important. So what we actually need to do is more of like, we seldom actually obtain these opportunities, so we have to actually make full use of it, and we should actually come up with something which is firm and something which could benefit people with disability in the region. So I hope that each and every one of us will actually take this chance. We gather around together and put aside our differences, but we actually want to do the best for all. And as we are fully aware, and we are, we were kind of like know what is actually the main thing for ADF responsibility. So maybe there are certain things that we need to kind of like fine tune, to come up with something which is like a lot to me is like it's going to be something which is comprehensive and something which is like going to be good for all. Because I think there's a lot of things that we discussed yesterday, and we did actually achieve of like some of the matters arising and all, but there are a lot of things that we need to actually share. And I think when we talk about networking, there's also some missing gap there. When we look at the policies of other countries and all, we do realize that there are gaps in between that we need to actually look into it also. So I hope that everyone would actually give the utmost cooperation for us to have a good discussion today. Thank you very much. I shall pass it on to Malani. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Pak Sazali, for opening our internal discussion this morning. So we still have several issues should be decided, and then our expectation is all of the discussed matters internally will be endorsed by all of you this evening. So this is our opportunity to give as much as we able to do relating to the suggestion and the designing of anything relating to the what we have discussed yesterday. So maybe if I'm trying to the first one, yes, from the first one, the things that have to be followed up. First is code of ethics, relating to mostly on communications within us and also within the executive and member as well, and how the code of ethics of ASEAN Disability Forum to the networks as well as an organization. So I think this is also urgent. If we can collect the sorry, it's the morning. Collect the inputs from all of you this morning. Yeah. So next is giving the authority of as steering committee to determine the country representative. It should become into the code of ethics, code or the of ethics and conducts. Okay, next. This will be the code of ethics. So I see follow-up is collecting information in the process and determine conduct. Okay, so all of the follow-up will be inserted in the code of ethics that our expectation should be endorsed for this meeting, for this 2024 meeting. On audience meeting with the strategic partner ASEAN national level to access funding. Okay, so so we would like to hear what is the better or the best approach that we can do for our friends in Myanmar. Some input have been written there, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. So it will be like individual discussion within the secretariat, what secretariat should do for Myanmar. And also maybe we need such a like collective what should I say? The collective support to Myanmar. So that if we have to write a letter to the people or to the sectors that concerned with the supporting to the FPD, it have to be signed from all of us, yeah, from the 10 countries, from the 9 countries to support. So and let's okay, status procurement, start working. Okay, then this is, the proposal of UN Women. We can, I think there is no further discussion for this one because everybody has already approved that we will send the proposal to UN Women, and then the progress or the process will be discussed in this evening when the Thailand that we expect should be will be the focal point because the UN Women Asia Pacific is in Thailand, so it should be the ADF representative in Thailand or ADF steering committee in Thailand should make this kind of decision, and then we will endorse, and then we appointed who will be the contact person or the focal point on this issue. So yeah, we will wait for the opinion from Thailand. Okay. So yeah, next is about the program of women and youth with disability. I think we can insert the issues relating to this into our works. Let's try from the program first, and then we can see how ADF can bring this issue. Can we promote this issue in the in appropriate manners, and then after that, maybe next years we can adopt it in our Bible, yeah, together. So, but it has to be something that demonstrate on how everybody, on how our collective information, our collective opinion can be support for all of the things that should be put into the bylaw. So, now is not here, but it is, yeah, I think it is important to put the principle of consensus, because we committed ourselves to follow up the ASEAN mechanism and ASEAN cultures, yeah, traditions. So the consensus, the things that have to be decided, it has to be informed to all of you as representatives of from 10 countries should know everything related to whatever ADF representative would like to do or deciding. The most importantly is decide. So it will be like a forward in the code of conduct. Yeah. So respect the consensus and all opinion of the members, including the information sharing, such as like, for instance, all the information, for instance, like the IDF secretariats, if they receive invitations relating to the ADF, so it has to be informed whether it is from the any of information tools here. We have a WhatsApp, we have email, so it has to be informed to all of you, so that everybody knows when you are dealing with something else. It can be your recommendation, it can be your information, and also it can be your modality on negotiation. Modality of negotiation, of course. So that's what we will try to elaborate during these 1 days, and then we will approve or endorse in the evening. If any others, if any others issues that you want to, maybe something that we are left behind relating to this one. I'm not quite, actually, this is just for the information. We have been discussed during maybe in 2021 or 2022 relating to the draft of new bylaws, yeah, Hongha. I think Hongha was there, and also Monica, and online. We are doing the meeting online, and also Sazali as well were there. Maybe, and also Tongchak were there as well. I would like to have your opinions. Actually, the bylaw can be endorsed by our annual meetings based on our bylaws. Yeah? The changing, the changing of the bylaw. Shall we read again the bylaw in this meeting, or and then we can just endorse together, like with the changing is not too much, not too many, relating to the issue of what we would like to elaborate in our bylaw. But according to me, the code of conduct and ethics is more important to make our coordination work more open, more easy to realize and easy to understand, of course. So, yeah. So please, if there is anything that you would like to add and share, especially from our colleagues, our young colleagues, yeah, who are coming, yes, such as like Monica, Sharifa, Tongchan, Taylor Hantu. If you see something that the mechanism of the ADF, some of them are forbid you to more, forbid you relating to the more democratic, needs more information. So please, so we can put into our code of conduct. Thank you. Yeah, Pastor Sally, I move to you because if there's no chair, so vice chair should. Sure. So maybe.
Yes. Thank you. I do agree with some of the points that you would already brought up, and perhaps also I would like to throw the idea to everyone here, like when we hear for the fact that within the region there are also lots of opportunities that we can actually take on. If we actually plan according to the declaration. I think we do have that Bali declaration for this, and also we kind of look at it, how can we actually, or what we have missed, we should actually look into it to continue with the main focus. And I think when we see overall, I think if everyone can share with regards to the rights of people with disability, or we just kind of focus with the advocacy job itself. How do we actually foresee that countries, organization of people with disabilities at their country level could actually have that kind of information and help, with the current development or with the current things that they can do to upgrade or to actually learn from other countries within the ASEAN region on the advocacy planning. Because I think if we don't have a strong advocacy planning or advocacy awareness, it's very hard for us to actually move on and get government to actually understand the needs or even on the human rights factor itself. So if I think previously there was a workshop that they did in Bangkok with regards to human rights, and also for the deaf, actually by World Federation of the Deaf, supported by Nippon Foundation, and they were looking at the sign language, as the mode of communication and the right of the deaf to have their own sign language in their own country. So every country, they were just checking on every country, which country really actually been endorsed with their national sign language. So we do realize that when there are a few which is actually not actually been accepted and endorsed, and they do actually highlighted that they face lots of challenges to put it through or bring it to the attention of their government. So perhaps maybe we could also look into the possibilities of working together with Nippon Foundation at ASEAN region. It's like for us, it's like we're looking at sign language for the deaf people or the deaf community per se. We do realize there's lots of weaknesses and everything, but perhaps if we can work within the ASEAN region to push it, I think there will be a greater impact. For the certain category that needed attention. So we pick up on the issues that are actually being overlooked or issues that hasn't been actually taken into consideration. So I think it'd be fair, for us as ADF, we do have the a responsibility and role to play for, the main thing is advocacy itself. And but I think all of you will agree, if I'm going to say, there's a lot of work to be done. Yeah, but it's just that there are certain that we cannot actually achieve it, fully. So next of it is like if anyone, it's open and everyone could give the idea on how or anything that you think would be suitable for us to take it on, or any issues. Please actually voice it out, because this is a platform for us today. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Is there any more input relating to the code of conduct? Yeah. Now we are coming into the technical things relating to the code of conduct and ethics relating to so yeah, because this is very much important to avoid misunderstanding within us in any of the process of the works of ASEAN Disability Forum. Maybe we can just taking notes for the points. Maybe just to remind, inform to us relating to what has been discussed this evening, last night, relating to the code of conduct. And then something that I think forbids, challenges when you find the challenges when we are in the process of, all of us process on access the information, access the communications, and also access to participations inside of our internal issues. Yes, please. I think, can we make a notes relating to what Sazali says, that we try to, actually, as far as I know, the meetings of ASEAN Secretariat's meeting, they do not provide the sign language interpreters. Even they invite ASEAN Disability Forum. So it has to be included in our recommendation, this afternoon recommendation, just for reminding us. I'm afraid I will forget in this afternoon. So it has to be inserted in the recommendation to the Political Security Community Conference tomorrow. So whether there is the users or not, there is no users, they have to provide this accessibility. Second is relating the code of conduct. If I may remind the points. First is we adopt, we stated, actually traditionally we adopt all the ASEAN procedures, such as like consensus, what else? A lot of things relating to the Asian traditions, but we have to put in the openings of the code of conduct relating to that. Second is we are not ADF is not interfering directly to the national and local levels. But ADF, when ADF would like to do something to the national and local level, should through the network or members of the ADF in the national level, so that we will not hit each other because we have a lot of organizations such as what is it, a kind of various disabilities, yeah, and also the coalitions and also the umbrella organizations. So I think it is enough for us. It is ADF should look at this. The organization who are already in the national level as a network, as a potential network to work into the national or local levels. That's the things. And then second is and also the non-interference, yeah. So consensus, non-interference principles, and what else that we would like to put into the works to make sure that everybody will be reminded by this process. When we talk about the consensus, means that, for instance, maybe second weaker is the executive of ADF should inform all of the decision, all of the information that they get or they give, yeah, they get and give into others community, into others forum, maybe in the forum of ASEAN, because our main advocacy is we doing advocacy to the ASEAN member state and also ASEAN sectors like 3 pillars of ASEAN. So I think this is also it has to be the ethics that all the information, whoever going on behalf of the name of ADF should share the information through all the, we have many doors of information, of course, yeah, from the email, from the WhatsApp, maybe we have messengers as well. So every representative from 10 countries get this kind of information. Is there any additional code of ethics and conduct that you would like to add, Laura, okay, Monica, Hong Kong? I'm sure it is better to speak now because in this evening there will be salad and also tea, so that maybe you can give them more time. We will use our time today.
My understanding is enough.
Do you find some difficulties in having communication and information? Okay. Yeah. 10? Comprehensive. Yeah. And then Laura, how we build our information communication within us so there will be no misunderstanding again relating to, okay. I remember one point that all communication to the national level should be through the steering committee or country representatives. Yeah? All communication to the national level. What else?
communication. Because yesterday, Mr. Anto also conveyed and addressed the issue on funding, which is everyone here in the member state or maybe in ADS area who has the information on the opportunity of the funding can distribute those information to the national level or otherwise to the national level to the NDR. So maybe we can make a platform through the emails or maybe on the WhatsApp, so everyone who has the access or the opportunity information on the funding can inform each other to the national level or to the area. That's what I mean. Thank you.
I think this is some of our experience in the secretariat. So that's why actually our traditional fund is coming from disability right funds, DRF. Yeah. But DRF talking in the regional matters. The proposal is that is why the proposal the proposal is related to the coordination within the countries, research. Yeah. We are not making kind of interference in the national levels. Yeah. But several priority from the bigger funding. Now I think everybody knows that ASEAN becomes like star for this periodical time relating to the new ASEAN approach. So we are now that Europe, Australia, and also USA giving more specific attention to ASEAN. So there's a lot of open doors for ASEAN especially for ASEAN disability forum. But unfortunately, the information, so such as like opening the opening call of proposal was not. The opportunity is not coming into the ADF secretariats, for instance, or I don't know, is it coming to the country level? The ADF representatives or steering committee? I don't think so. So we don't have any access to get this kind of information. However, when they write their concept, they invite ADF to talk relating to what issue that you would like to bring up. Yeah, that's the issue. But when they open call of proposal, they do not share with us the information. This is kind of something that I think we don't have to be afraid of saying something to them related to this kind of, because so far in these years, our loyal funding is from the OPD's funding. Yes, it's like DRF is managed by all the people with disabilities. Most of the people who are managing the DRF is person with disabilities. They are more open to us, not like the supporting, the big country fundings here. So this is one of the challenges that the secretariat feel. I don't know, our friends, all of you from the national levels, feeling this kind of things as well or not. But I'm sure that Cambodia is already out of there because Cambodia has have an access here, direct access to UN, to the last, yeah, the last fund. Yeah, sure, the governments or the UN. Yeah. So this is the issue or the challenges of the secretariats. So we become the source information, but we are not having this kind of important information. Maybe Mika would like to share so that we can relating to the UNICEF, APRO, how they our experiences. This is just to encourage you to think about that. Okay, that we have to have a kind of this code of conduct so that we can protect ADF itself from being it is not well, no, taking advantage, yeah, from the situations of any others. So a lot of UN agency came to ADF and asking support on this and that and everything. So that I know APRO, a lot of UN agencies, but they do not see us as potentials and professionals. They just see us as person with disability who knows what we what we understand, what our knowledge relating to person with disability, but they never treat us as a professional, as a pool of experts, something like that. Yeah. Would you like to share? Maybe for just to inspire our friends. We still have 20 minutes.
It's just some experience that we had probably 2 years ago or 1 year ago. It's about the research on the children with disabilities. The research initiated and then conducted by the UNICEF East Asia Pacific regional, and then they have a pool of experts, a contractor, we can say. There's a researchers that is going to finish and draft the research, but they need the information and all the data regarding the children with disabilities in ASEAN. It's quite challenging because they do not have the information of what is the situation of children with disabilities in ASEAN. That's why some time ago I also contact all of you to ask about the information of children with disabilities organization, whether is it a parents organization or is it NGO consulting with the children with disabilities, or it's specifically on children with disabilities organization. So they started work with our data, which is from the steering committee, data and information. They all contacted you probably for at least the data that we have provided to them. So after quite a time, they finalized the draft and then making the research done. Probably there are 2 times of validation workshop that they conducted to invite the ASEAN Disability Forum, especially the steering committee, to validate what is the outcome and the research findings from the process. But the process is
they want to be a partner of research process, they would probably input the participations of the ASEAN Disability Forum as the researcher, local researcher, or maybe as the enumerator. So they're doing it all themselves. So they just collected the information, and then yes, as Maulana said, having an advantage, making it as their quote unquote achievement, but probably mention the credit, only the credit, only the credits to ASEAN Disability Forum. But hopefully later on we will have the opportunity to be an equal partner. That's all I think. So if you have any other experience or additional information that you would like to share to Sazali or among us regarding the code of ethics, based on your experience within the ADF, we have still time, 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I guess. Oh yeah, so go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have the chance to talk to a representative of the Australian Embassy in Manila. One of the advices given to me, if we can organize respective ADF organization in our respective countries. That's why in Manila, I organized the ADF meetings. So I don't know the situation in your respective country. Probably you can have ADF Cambodia, ADF Thailand, or ADF Indonesia. Because when I organized ADF meetings, we were interested. So I'm just giving you the idea. I really don't know how relevant that would be in your respective country. But what I could sense from them, they want us to identify that our group is involved in ADF, in ASEAN. So that is my experience in the Philippines.
That is my experience in the Philippines.
These funding agencies
These funding agencies
wants to know that we have an ADF group
that we have an ADF group
in our respective countries. So when I declare ADF Philippines, they entertain us.
So when I declared
ADF
ADF Philippines, they entertained us.
So probably if that is relevant to your respective country, if that is relevant
If that is relevant
in your respective countries,
in your respective countries,
you may try it. Like call it ADF Cambodia, ADF Thailand. So
we call it ADF Cambodia, ADF Thailand.
Because in the Philippines, I use ADF Philippines.
In the Philippines, I use ADF Philippines.
Thank you.
Sazali, would you like to say something? Or any other friends would like to make a comment? Such as, Sazali?
Okay. I think, yeah, basically we all understood the ADF for cross disability group, yeah, and even in I mean at national level, they do have national organization for cross disability. So when we wanted to actually, I mean, like when the issue of funding is like how we can actually share it with us. Yep, it's always the case that it's so hard to ascertain as like which cross disability national organization that the donors should look at. So I think what we could do is like perhaps maybe to strengthen as like what we're looking now at the code of ethics. Yeah, it's like how can we actually provide this as like can we actually have the networking in such a way that any organization that go through national, then we will share it with ADF. So I think it will be worthwhile that way. Yeah, because ADF is also in the knowledge and of the information and also the contact. So I think that would be much, I mean like the networking that way will be much better in comparison with the situation right now, because even at national organization also we do have that difficulties. Yeah, which national organization of cross disability that they should look at. So if like what been suggested by Laura just now, it's like ADF at national or country level. But I think there again also on the registration of side or other needs that we also have to look into. So I think, yeah, it's high time also for us to think, what's the best solution right now? I mean, like, it should be a kind of like shared responsibility, to be fair with ADF. We should share the idea.
Yes, thank you, Sesi, to making more emphasize what we have discussed. I mean, in the initial this morning related to how the position of ADF working in the national and local level. You know? So it will be a bit long when we discuss with this. Mechanism of work of ADF. So can we adjourn the meeting into the 7 o'clock in the evening, starting from 7 o'clock to 9, and then because our guest speaker have already here. May I introduce to Miss Dina Praptora Harjo. She's over there. Ibu Dina, thank you for coming. Dina is a former chair of Indonesia. She has an important experience relating to the history of ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. She is the one who are sitting together within the ASEAN bodies, talking on designing the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. So it's very important for us to hear about the of course, we expected a review from you, Ms. Dina. But before, we will having a break for 10 minutes, Ms. Dina, if you allow. Yeah. Thank you. Then we will having a break, 10-minute break, and then we are coming with Ms. Dina and Daniel Awidra as facilitators. Thank you so much for the attention and also fruitful information and discussion this morning for the internal issues.
a break, coffee ice break. Now, please be ready and be seated. Now we're going to start the session. Good morning, everyone. We're very honored and pleased to have two guest speakers up front. There is Ibu Dina Praptoraharja. She is the former HR representative from 2016 to 18, ya Bu. And then the legacy is, of course, that already mentioned by Ibu Maulani. She also working hard on the ASEAN Economic Master Plan, representing Indonesia, and then there is engagement also with the Organization of Persons with Disabilities on that effort. So alongside with Ibu Dina Wisnu, we also have Bapak Awigra from Human Rights Working Group. He also started the discussion with us on the ASEAN Economic Master Plan from the start. I think from 2016 to ya, Mas Awi ya, yes. With Dr. Siri and etc. At that time. So this is a very monumental, and then we are going to have a very important discussion. Without further ado, let's start the discussion, and I will give the time to Ibu Dina Wisnu, Ibu Dina Praptoraharja to start the session. Thank you, Ibu.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Vika. I'll be doing my role as a facilitator or moderator in this important and priceless for me, exchange, sharing with the living legend, let's say, because she's the one who are negotiating the document that now we will discuss until tomorrow at least, while we all want to have an occasion to convey our own voices, especially in relation to the political security aspect of the ASEAN Economic Master Plan. So it is so much precious for all of us to have Ibu Dina. She's my long friends of this advocacy on human rights in the region. So I think it is a unique process that you may learn later on how it has developed it that way, because at least there are 3 ASEAN bodies getting involved in this development process. First is, of course, ICER, the body that used to be Budina from Indonesia, who sitting at the negotiation, and then the second of all, SOMSWAT, or some Senior Officer of Social Welfare Development, and then from the ICWC, so Women and Children Committee. So it is a unique because it is not just only coming out from one particular body in ASEAN. So there are elements of social welfare, human rights, and child and women's rights in it. So I think it's so much interesting to be explored further. With the main purpose is mainstreaming the disability rights perspective across all ASEAN program and services that ASEAN has. So I think let's explore, even though it is we will have occasion to have a political and security discussion, and we try to compile our voices, but it is not limited to only talk about political and security. We can always talk about economic, social, and cultural rights, as we all know that the accessibility in terms of education, health, and many others, like infrastructure, and so on and so forth. I think I don't need to also limit these kinds of precious time to be explored further with Ibu Dina. So by that, let's have Budina maybe triggering discussion by presentation, I guess, and then followed with the Q&A, all of us. Then later on, let's have an exercise among of us. How are we going to develop our own statement to be brought tomorrow? By that, let's have a round of applause to Budina.
Thank you so much, Mas Awi. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Bu.
Thank you so much for having me, Bu Maulani, Disability Forum for inviting me. It is truly actually my honor and always my pleasure to come and to participate in dialogues, meetings, and sharing. I think that's what's most important in all of this and before. As mentioned by Ali, my background is not just on political security or human rights. So I am currently very involved in various policy making at the national and international levels. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, one of the topics that we discuss on quite regular basis is also ASEAN. And because my expertise involves political economy, economic of social protection, welfare for workers, jobs, and then poverty, employment. So you can always think about how we cross-cut issues, which was one of the very key message of the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan at that time, was to develop a cross-cutting elements for person with disabilities. Anyway, so I was asked to discuss 3 items, which is the Enabling Master Plan itself and points that we can raise as evaluation points. We are going to zoom into the political security dimension. So that we are going to focus first. And then an element of climate change I'm going to include in it. Indeed, I agree it's an important aspect to highlight. And then let's discuss, so about 20 minutes or so, and then we come to discussion on recommendation on way forward for ASEAN Disability Forum for your meeting tomorrow. So when I do this evaluation, I ask everybody to think about this as a reflection moment. Next slide. So you are very familiar with everything that ADF has done, and I'm very certain you are also familiar with the activities at the national level involving persons with disabilities. So that's one element of us doing this review. And then the second element that's also important is beyond knowledge, which is your observation. Oftentimes we underestimate the importance of observation. Observation involves gesture of easiness or not easy, not so easy when you try to access something, the level of friendliness when the ASEAN respond to your requests or inquiries, for instance. So these are, as adults, we are so familiar with the importance of observation. We stay quiet, we watch, and then we take hold all the elements that we think is really key to make something happen. So it doesn't have to be written, it can be unwritten. So I'm going to also highlight that, and please, you also contribute your part in that. Third element will be experience. Because some of us, I'm sure not all of us, has been involved in ASEAN meetings, SOM meetings, or ITAR meetings, or ACWC meetings. So pick up again all those experience and look back at the knowledge that you gained from that meeting and the observation of how they respond to ADF meetings. Last is expertise, and I think I can contribute a bit more on this because there is an issue of context that gave birth to the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. There were the individuals who matters to the highlights of the subjects that becomes the items, we call it key points of achievements in the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. And then how we project, why 2021, 2025, and we focus on those issues. I can bring those back onto our table this morning. So the question really today, as I start with this conversation with you, is how open are we to all of this feedback? We not just listen to me, but while talking, me talking, you also retrieve all those memories and observations. And then I ask you to think about ADF while we're talking. ADF and its strength, because recommendation must rely on your strength. You don't expect somebody else, ASEAN in this matter, to change unless you know who you are and how your strength can help ASEAN to also grow its strength. So so it's not an exercise of criticizing ASEAN, but rather I would ask us to think about what do you have now that you can give to ASEAN, and make sure ASEAN take responsibly, very positively, so that they can also improve. Okay, next on the context. So this is a bit experience and expertise part that I can share with you. I'll start with this first. Why this ASEAN Enabling Master Plan was born and how it was born. So the machine, the big machine that inspired ASEAN to have a master plan was Thailand, ICHAR Thailand. From the very beginning, Dr. Siri was involved in all ASEAN and ICHAR meetings since 2012, I think, since the very beginning of ICHAR meetings. He was not the ICHAR rep, but he knew from the very beginning that ASEAN disability needs to get attention from ICHAR. So, since I know him, he always talk about disability from the very beginning. He was the one who also connect me with the ADF, and then once I know ADF, I start looking for myself all the connections at the national level and at the local levels. But as you probably know, within ICHAR, 10 member states, the way we work, when we have certain idea to put on the agenda, it's never an easy process unless you have a co-host. Why? Because we can help each other to generate consensus. So even as knowledgeable as he is and as determined as he is, Dr. Siri, he still needs help at that time to generate support from ICHAR member states, and we also need to think the way ICHAR work, they also think about how people outside of ICHAR will respond. And I was earning my hand there. ICHAR Indonesia lent a hand there. Because why? One of the things that I highlighted was that, look, I think you cannot do this alone. This topic of disability has been too long under social-cultural pillar. And the way I observe the meetings of ICHAR with the SOMSWAT was that they can be very particular about the approach to disability and to welfare issues, which I think is not going to be appealing to the other pillar. Noted there that I am a person who has been decades involved in politics and economy. So I think the languages that are being taken, the way they invite people, is simply not going to be appealing unless you make a change there. So, okay, let's concept together. Two items were highlighted as a cross-cutting issue there. Jobs, employment. So if you notice, all these elements of the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan includes item on how a person with disability can be more independent economically. And then when we talk about politics, we also talk about networks with legal professionals, think tanks, with experts, not just those affecting or related to human rights, but also those who are, dealing with election, dealing with, different kinds of political issues, or legal and all, democracy and all. So the idea there was, again, let's check out the strength of disability movements in ASEAN and then bring it up to the ICHAR level. And that was to be like the tray of ideas that we present in ICHAR meetings. So that was the idea. Well, luckily, Dr. Siri approved. Let's talk about it. So, and how I come up with all those ideas about which item to take, because I had meetings like this. Maybe Maulani, remember in our office we had a meeting and discussed what has ADF been doing. How about the group from Paul Haas doing, and then the other groups, what are you doing? And then I also invited, basically try to map all groups in ASEAN that I think has been there for a long time, the kinds of engagement they tried to do, and imagine how we ICHAR can extend that resources to make sure that they continuously penetrate into ICHAR. So that was how we organized the first initiative, regional meetings. That's slightly different. We start thinking about developing this ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. So once again, co-sponsoring here is not just to push the agenda, but to enlarge the support base. But we still find a challenge at that time, because turns out human rights-based approach remains marginal in ASEAN. And I say this humbly because as much as knowledgeable we are about human rights and all, and how related we are to one another, the reality is in ASEAN, ICHAR as a human rights body is perceived as by the SOM as not having the mandate to monitor any policy activities, setting norms, or anything affecting to human rights. That's SOM's job, not ICHAR job. So ICHAR's duty, as understood by the SOM, because we did have a meeting with SOM SWAT right at that time to communicate our ideas. Doesn't stop at ICHAR only, we talked to SOM SWAT. And SOM SWAT said, your mandate is not to monitor policy. Okay, so we have to think about how, because the idea was that ICHAR, bringing all these resources, we can then watch, right, what has been done. It's okay, some do it. It's okay, other groups and other pillars are doing stuff, but we too can monitor, get involved, bring our friends onto the table, and then take notes of all the progresses. They say that's not the point. So that's why the idea from something more like a declaration of common agreements on inclusion of a person with disability changed into master plan. Because at that time we also listed all sorts of declarations that's been out there, and ASEAN member state participated, and we actually made some kind of matrix. So the declaration made in Korea, what do you call it, Sendai? Incheon, and then there are many kinds, right? If you list it, that's a lot. So Dr. Siri is from legal, so he can do it really well. He made all those matrices and start to compare what are the elements in it and all. So, and then we discuss again. That was also precious because in my ICHAR, there was also another legal expert, Edmund from Malaysia. And the idea at that time, okay, let's not make another product that's just norms, right? Let's do a master plan. So we already have commitments, but we don't have a plan to execute it. So we have to prioritize between all of these commitments, how to do it, right? Okay, so that's why we formed a task force. So the first task force, it was actually just us. We were thinking, it was organized, a concept note was ICHAR, and then SOMSWAT, ACWC, and all other SOM that's relevant, we invite as participants. But then during that meeting, we realized that there was resistance from the other groups. You cannot chair this on your own. You have to have us co-chair the task force. So after the first task force, we start to include ACWC and SOMSWAT as the co-chair. We took it as a progress instead of step back because we think that's a sign of cross-cooperation, cross-body cooperation. And so series about 10 meetings was organized. Some was also done in Jakarta, in Indonesia, because I was the host. There was, I think, the hotel next door was the place that witnessed that. And Ibu Maulani also recalled that my alternate for the task force was Pak Tohas. Tohas Damanik, a blind who was also very active and very knowledgeable about ASEAN mechanism. So it's like we alternate in how to develop the master plan. So the idea there is to make sure all member states use the master plan to enhance their implementation to CRPD. So that's one to remember. In our evaluation, we have to come back and think whether ASEAN member states have used the enabling master plan to enhance the implementation to CRPD. If not, then that's that's an item to highlight. Okay, so at the end of the day, after all of those list of meetings, task force meeting, the monitoring function was agreed to be done by the joint consultative councils or conference between the ASPO, the one monitoring the political security pillar, and then the POW for the economic pillar, and the SOCOM for the social cultural pillar. And then who is going to watch the progress? ASEAN Secretariat. In other words, if you were to pinpoint the data, ASEAN Secretariat should be the one who provides you with the data. They are both can be held accountable to you as a stakeholder to take notes of this is what has been done since 2021. So the midterm evaluation was imagined as two parts, 2018 to 2021, and then an end of term, 2021 to 2025. Okay, next slide. So the goal of the master plan was to make sure that human rights-based approach matter in ASEAN. We want to put it high. As an example, there were many other topics that ICHR handled at that time. But this was the one who we can propel to the summit level successfully. The other topic we don't bring to the summit level, but up to sectoral bodies mostly and to ASEAN Secretariat. This one, we want to make it as an exemplary how human rights-based approach actually being used. And in the back of our mind in ICHR was to elevate the role of ICHR to set the standard of approach to persons with disabilities. Not only the norms, but how to mainstream them, how to practice, how to monitor. So let's check whether this has been done. So the unwritten part, as I said, the observation, based on what ICHR has discussed at that time, we want to move away from the approach of seeing disability as a category in our group that was seen more as a burden rather than an asset. We want to move away from that mindset. And of course, you are familiar with this kind of mindset, right? If people think of you and start question or meet with you and then start questioning, oh, how many people do you have? Oh, it's just a small number of people. Maybe we should prioritize the one with the more groups. That's one of the example of a mindset that they still is trapped And we already, in ICHR, already realized that that should be the one we left behind with this enabling master plan. We should leave behind that mindset of a burden. We should see the enabling master plan and person with disability as someone who needs empowerment, not alms, not donation. Number two, we want to gradually, okay, but continuously achieve progress. So gradual approach, we recognize, so long as there are progress over time. So that's the part you can highlight in your statement. If there is no progress, even if it's gradual, we don't see. Why? Because when we started off having this master plan, to be honest, at the other pillars, the awareness of about person with disabilities, let alone about your group, is low. We knock on doors and discuss about person with disabilities. In general, they would say okay, but when we go closer into looking at the kinds of disability, how then to make sure that they don't get the barriers that they used to have, now that's stuff right there. They don't know. Autism or mental disabilities are the least people understood. The only thing they can imagine at most are just for physical disability. So the third goal that we wanted was to build a pool of resources to support ICHR, SOMSWAT, and relevant government agencies. Why? Because if we rely only on SOMSWAT or to ACWC or only to ICHR, the effort to create this plan or to implement this plan is not going to be continuous. So the idea is to cooperate, to enlarge the support base. Last, person with disability should be seen as a part of development process. So you contribute, not wait for the trickle-down effect from development. You see the difference? Because there are countries who think that person with disabilities just enjoy when the government can do it. When the government has budget for you. Our mindset is to have you participate in creating that pool of resources. You take part. You actively bring resources for yourself. So let's check once again the principle of ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. I'm sure you are familiar with this. Which part I would like to highlight? I guess the tough norm written here is the word respect. Because the word respect sometimes is just understood as acknowledgement, which is not. It's beyond acknowledgement. So if you are engaged a lot with person with disability, you understand, that that's the biggest limit, respect. Inclusion, it can be just inviting you to meetings, but it's not respect to what you say, to what you suggest, let alone what you demand. Okay, that's my highlight for that. So, next slide. These are the highlights of key action points from the Enabling Master Plans. If you read carefully, these key action points are very clear, but not necessarily easy to do, because it's about a willingness to approach key points action in a swift and supporting way. Let me highlight some, so make it large. Next slide. For instance, this one, strengthening the network of organizations so that there will be a pool of expertise, capacity building activities for state and non-state to promote, which means not just dialogue, but to develop partnership for initiatives. Just this alone, which was taken from point 7 of the APSE, you can see that there's a gap, right? There's still a gap. ADF itself is one network, but do you think it's already sufficient to push for continuous capacity building for state and non-state on persons with disabilities? think you are the one who can answer this in your group discussion. Do you have the individuals who can follow up after every meeting with the government to develop partnerships, to develop programs that will continue? So when we say developing programs for partnership, it's not just inviting you to meetings, but sit together, look at the resources, and then everybody contribute to the process. Next slide. I highlight the importance of engagement. Engagement is a two-way communication between state and non-state stakeholders, which I think is very much still limited. Limited just to ADF, and ADF also has limits to engaging with the broader stakeholders. Because once again, if you look closer into the key achievements, let me read because it's very small. Yeah? For instance, key action points number 1 in APSC: encourage taking all appropriate legislative and administrative measures to promote and protect the rights of persons with disabilities. On political life, to vote, to be elected, and to access to justice on equal basis with those without disabilities. It's not going to be enough to just say that and repeat that in a meeting, right? You have to be there in the election commission and advocate and help the election commission officials secure all those rights in the ballots, opportunities for persons with disabilities, perhaps to have a special seats or a special accommodation, during the election vote, and if they run for office, what are the treatments for them, and all. Or, for instance, conduct training and capacity building activities on disability perspective and human rights principles in the daily work of legal professionals, such as lawyers, judge, prosecutors, correctional officers, social welfare officers, police, and others, as a means to respect, protect, and fulfilling these rights. Imagine. So at that time, people like Siri and Edmund was thinking that having you present to the lawyers, to judges, prosecutors, somehow have activities with them will help all these legal authorities to think differently about you, about persons with disabilities. So, have you done that? Of course, it's a challenging process. That should be part of your annual activities, right? Should be part of your agenda. Otherwise, it's just a meeting. Next. Let me highlight slide 11. Yeah, this one. So I take the liberty of giving some examples of the points that needs to be there, very key on the progress of Enabling Master Plan. And I really hope, even though the Enabling Master Plan is until 2025, you say that it will continue, to 2030 or something, and push them to have the mechanism to this time to work. And you have to be there every step of the way. Number 1, for instance, one thing that we tried so hard until 2018, but we didn't succeed, was to have a channel of regular communication between ICHAR, ACWC, and SOMSWAD, along with civil society groups, to monitor the participation of persons with disabilities in public and political life. I think even though we let the conference, the SOCOM, the CAL, and everybody to monitor, you still have to be there. Otherwise, the data is not going to be reliable, right? So you need to have or demand a channel of regular communication between the 3 bodies that created the Enabling Master Plan. And you can be the help there to the 3 bodies. You can be the so-called secretariat or the whatever, the group that monitor, take notes, write reports, right? And you can get the assistance from people like Awi, right? To monitor the activities. Number 2, master plan will remain a master plan unless you have access to information about ASEAN activities that you can then penetrate person with disability agenda onto ASEAN activities. Now that's the job of the ASEAN Secretariat. You have to get that deal with the ASEAN Secretariat. The question is there an instrument at the regional level to ensure that there will be a reasonable accommodation for access to information? Is having an announcement at the ASEAN website useful? So you should push for ASEAN Secretariat to inform you about activities relevant to the Enabling Master Plan for you to monitor, for you to attend, for you to participate. And then has there been engagement, enhanced engagement with the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disability? Because in the Enabling Master Plan, it was promised that you will have enhanced engagement. So you should have more meetings or more access or easy access to UN bodies. If you don't have that, you should ask for that. And then is there a pool of experts on disability rights at the ASEAN level? I think even if it's ad hoc, Ibu Maulani, I think you should have this kind of panel of experts who meet on regular basis. That will be informing you about these are the new ways of implementing EWD rights, and then in return you can consult, you can talk to them. So make sure they are on the list and they are regularly engaged. So whenever the ASEAN asks for who is your pool of experts, we already have the pool of experts. On the master plan, there's also a promise of support from the ASEAN Foundation. From all that I see, I haven't seen that progressing because they were supposed, the ASEAN Foundation was supposed to instill cooperation with the private sector and other relevant stakeholders. I don't know, maybe I missed it, maybe you know better whether they have moved on this, but ASEAN Foundation is another resource you can tap in. Last, but not the least important, is network of disability and human rights professionals among emergency response managers in implementing programs on disaster and emergency preparedness. This was also already on the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. And this is relevant to the topic of climate change that you wish for me to discuss. Because at the national level, I noticed there are efforts here to start developing data, to start engaging persons with disabilities. Since the Enabling Master Plan, we also have the Komisi Komisi Nasional National Disabilitas Komite National Disabilitas in Indonesia, for instance. So special committee for persons with disabilities, and that also involves person of non-disability in the committee, right?
Under social.
Majority under social. So there are those elements, but who take notes to highlight that and whether that is there because of the Enabling Master Plan. On disaster management, for instance, ASEAN also produced, next slide, ASEAN Regional Framework on Protection, Gender and Inclusion, which I was looking at the documents and thinking, did they read the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan, or this is something else? Because they have their body after it discussing the master plan. So if this is because of the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan, that's good. If not, that means ASEAN continue to work separately in silo and then accidentally produce something that sounds like they are very inclusive, which is not necessarily what we want, right? We want them to respond to what we have. So I read at the document, and then let me show you something, the next slide. Like for this one. ASEAN Regional Framework on Protection, Gender and Inclusion in Disaster Management. If you look at the disability inclusion dimension here, they mention ASEAN Enabling Master Plan. Okay? But the one that is supposed to develop the framework is SOMSWAT. Now, that's your, what do you call it, window of opportunity. They don't have a framework for disaster management. So that's if you are not familiar with this, then probably should think about the next activity of ADF. Who is going to monitor all the ASEAN SOMs, what are they producing? And then make sure that you come and, actually this is supposed to be ASEAN Secretariat job, right? They inform you. If SOMSWAT, ACWC, ICHAR do something relevant to the ASEAN Energy Master Plan, they should inform you. So next slide. This is my last 2 slides. So 2 items that we should think about for suggestion to ASEAN. Number 1, maybe you imagine ASEAN having an coordinating function. Okay? If it has coordinating function, that means they have to have coherent information, comprehensive data, right? How can you coordinate somebody if you don't know who they are coordinating with? And then you can proceed with assessment, either it's baseline or evaluation level. So that what? So that your coordinating function is really based on evidence. If that's if you imagine, or your ideal, ADF's ideal, is to have ASEAN strengthen the coordination function. So your choice, and give you an option. Or you wish for ASEAN to highlight the guideline function. If ASEAN does more of a guideline function, not coordinating, then ASEAN needs to have alignment, national and local practice, having assessment, and they also need to discuss about alignment of perspective, alignment of mindset, because guideline is very much more specific than coordination, right? More specific. Or, like, you are already happy having ASEAN just doing the function of sharing of good practices. It depends what you want. So do not mix everything together because it's going to be confusing. If it's just for sharing of information, your job is not to be happy just having an information share, but follow up, right? Assisting the laggard who are left behind. What are their challenge to take part in something better, right? So again, I think come back to the point that I raised earlier. You need a network of people who cares to become your formal channel in ASEAN. Somebody in the ASEAN Secretariat should be maybe what do you call that, like a key focal points or something to inform you. If assistance of ICHAR, for instance, can be there for you as a channel of communication, maybe you should push for it. Because otherwise, you talk to us as the SG maybe, the Secretary General on regular basis and ask through him, or I don't know, but who will be on continuous communication between ADF and ASEAN? You cannot go directly to ICHAR. I don't think that's wise, because Enabling Master Plan involves 3 bodies. So somebody must be there, and I think the job is ASEAN Secretariat. It's just you pinpoint which or who in ASEAN would do that for you. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, I wish for you to identify your strength as a network and your direction. Which element of ADF you want to grow stronger. Okay? Who is going to watch over APSC key points of achievements? Ask yourself, within ADF, who is going to do this and how? I don't think sitting together 10 member states will be efficient. Maybe 1 or 2, or maybe 2 or 3, I don't know. The mechanism in ICHAR at that time for activities to watch something, usually we assign 3 member states or 2 member states, and then report to the plenary. Something to think about. And then, if ASEAN Secretariat report to ADF, who in ADF would respond, and what you usually, or what mandate he or she can do upon getting communication from ASEAN. And then how do you have your own approach on cross-cutting issues, for instance, climate change? And has there been partnership? If you are going to do partnership, who is going to drive initiatives, write concept notes, and all? Again, you cannot let it hang out there and 10 member states discuss it, right? Somebody needs to make a draft and then discuss it in plenary. I know it's a tough job, which is why we need a pool of experts to help you. And you expand that pool of experts. So the pool of experts, do not imagine them as salaried person, no. You know, and do not imagine them as staying constant, 10 people, one per member state. No. It has to be maybe 20 over time, and then growing to 30, growing to, but you know their strength. You have a database on what they are very good at, helping you prepare concept notes and so on and so forth, so that you get the resources that you need. Oh, I forgot last about climate change. Okay, climate change. These are two items that I think should be of your highlight about climate change. Climate change is about adaptability and about vulnerability that needs to be mitigated. Just these two items. Because the issues can be plenty, can be about natural disaster, can be about pollution, can be about heat, can be about water scarcity, many things. Even job scarcity can also be a challenge under climate change, because more and more jobs would need to be high tech, can be done from far away. We are talking about land management, water management, and all things like that that needs to be adjusted. So usually person with disabilities won't have access to that. So your push on climate change, number one is adaptability. How can you prepare person with disability and the people who care for the person with disabilities about climate change? If some disability makes them very uncomfortable with heat, for instance, or with pollution, or with mobility becomes a challenge, then what needs to be prepared? There may be some. I had the time for 2 years to hire a person with disability with autism, and I find it such a challenge for me to continuously consult groups who are expert in autism about what to do about him. If only there's a book, for instance, or a handbook or something to handle him, to make sure that he can participate effectively if there are changes like this, it will be helpful. And I'm willing to help because I have that chance, and I'm willing to try. So imagine if you, Indonesia has a rule to include person with disability in the state-owned enterprise and in companies. I help promote them also in various kinds of awards of employment. But the problem is, if they don't have any handbook on how to deal with them, that's the challenge. Another instance is about mitigation. Mitigation of vulnerability. This focuses on specific challenge of person with disabilities, women, disability, or disabled people who live far away in the remote area. If they are not sufficiently educated, what to do if suddenly there are natural disasters, or do they have certain kinds of discrimination and all. Again, everything can be mapped better if you have data. And again, data, from what I understood, various groups try to make a data on person with disabilities and their specific needs, but not to much success yet. So let me just stop there and let you digest, and we can discuss. If there are more specific examples, I can happily provide provided to you. Thank you so much. My apologies. Anything enough. Thank you.
Wow, it's amazing. Once again, we have a very good applause here because Ibu Dina already bring us to the like a time machine. Ibu Dina come back to around 10 years ago while they are trying to come up with this master plan, and we know exactly why at the end it's called a master plan rather than just declaration or another kind of commitment, ASEAN commitment. So we know from Budina why it is happening that way and what's the reason behind the formation of this declaration. And then not just only the history, she also point out some gaps that need to be filled throughout the engagement process supposed to be. And then whether it is also a question that leads us to reflect whether do we so far engaging with three main bodies dealing with the ASEAN Master Plan or no. ICER, SOMSWAT, and also the ACWC. It is something that she also proposed to have a dedicated body as a coordination in like a building mechanism, regular communication. I think so interesting this idea that we can later on discuss further, because otherwise it will be so much occasionally. Whenever they meet, they will invite. Whenever they have no project, we will be left behind in this arrangement. I think so much interesting. And then also there are kind of the gap that needs to be also pushed further, because it's already mandated there in the document on the declaration on the master plan, but apparently we never know the updates, from whether it has been running out or only just that. Basically, it's like, for instance, involving the CRPD, whether we get informed about it, whether they do their mandates stated on that document. And of course there are some issues here, very interesting issues that already been explored. First and the foremost, of course, in the context of political, talking about the voting right, the election, and then also talking about the job employment, going to the independent living, and then access to justice, and so on and so forth. I think those are some issues that we also later on will explore further in a way that not just only the substance issues that we can come up later on, but also the process and also the engagement level. So by that, I think this is so much thick, so much content, and let's have a discussion directly with Ibu Dina, whether you have a kind of a question, concern, or things that you want to follow up further. This time is yours. I open the floor. Okay, Pak Laura, and then who else? Okay, start with you, Pak.
Thank you very much. I was glad that Madame was mentioning Dr. Siri. It was during the time of Dr. Siri when we developed the idea of disability rights budget analysis. We have a study in Manila headed by Dr. Suri and Dr. Martinez. We developed a disability rights budget analysis. Unfortunately, higher findings, our findings, that most of the budget are assigned in the Department of Social Welfare.
about 80%
About 80%
of the budget
of the budget
are only dedicated
are only dedicated
to welfare in efforts
to welfare efforts,
other than the right-based issue.
other than the right-based issue.
We will have to work with the
We will have to work with the
House of the Senate,
House of the Senate
and the House of Representatives.
and the House of the Representatives.
During the time of Dr. Siri,
During the time of Dr. Siri,
we worked together.
we worked together.
We have one can one time. We have one can
More than one time,
really a great leader.
who was really a great leader.
We were able to successfully
We were able to successfully
to convince our budget programmer
to convince our budget programmer
to ensure
to ensure
that in our budget
that our budget
and fiscal
and fiscal
program
program
we include disability rights budget.
we include disability rights budget.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately,
the Philippines have elections every 3 years.
the Philippines hold elections every 3 years.
So we will have to advocate every 3 years.
So we will have to advocate every 3 years.
It has not been institutionalized.
It has not been institutionalized.
What is my point?
What is my point?
I think we have to move towards institutionalization
I think we have to move towards institutionalization
in terms of budget.
in terms of budget.
Because we have very good policies,
Because we have very good policies,
but they are meaningless
but they are meaningless
if we don't have money.
if you don't have money.
And we can only have money
And we can only have money
if we get involved
if we get involved
in the budget programming
in the budget
of
programming
implementing agencies
of implementing agencies
in the national,
in the national,
regional,
regional,
provincial,
provincial,
and municipal level.
and municipal levels.
And I am highlighting
I am highlighting
municipal level
municipal levels
because
because
most of us
most of us
are in the municipal level,
are in the municipal level,
and we can only benefit
and we can only benefit
persons with disability
persons with disability
if we go on
if we go on
advocating
advocating
for budgeting
for budgeting
down to the municipal level.
down to the municipal level.
This will be the challenge
And this will be the challenge
of the ASEAN.
of the ASEAN.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else that we can compile first, or okay? Let's have a interactive here, Bu Dina. Silakan. About the disability budget, especially go to the municipal level,
Okay.
and the municipal can do about what can do.
I'm trying to, I'm opening the master
This
plan.
master
again.
plan, yes.
So,
In which particular section?
which
yeah?
particular section?
Mention
Okay, wait.
disability budget.
Okay, let me start by highlighting the aspect from Mr. Laurel. What Laurel mentioned about the importance of budget. Yeah, budget. We have to understand how ASEAN member states, as political entities, work with their budget. Okay, we cannot discuss about budget in a room of vacuum. in a vacuum room. You have to understand that all of our member states have a different model of adopting budget plan every year. I'm speaking as a political economist here because all member states has different models of relations between the executive and the legislative. That's number one. Why it's important? Because to countries like the Philippines, the dialogue about budget matters a lot to have good relations for civil society groups to have good relations with the senator and with the congressman. In Indonesia, however, it's slightly different. We also have a legislature who matters a lot for budget. But most of the time, the practice is not for you to go to the legislature for budget. For items that are very sensitive, like on human rights, you should go through the executive instead. Why? Because the rate of success may be bigger. If you already planned in the sense of planned your idea from inside the executive. In the case of Indonesia, the legislature is much more, for the lack of better words, more wild. Because we have so many political parties, and if you try to approach just some of them, you may not get anywhere, and only on a very rare basis, in my own experience of proposing on social protection rules or regulations, for instance, only very rare occasion you can work with the majority party, because nowadays we just had an election, and even the largest political party doesn't have any majority anyways. And it's still unclear also whether there will be an opposition, or once again, like the last 5 years, we have more of a hybrid regime where the executive speaks up more, and then the legislature would say, okay, all right, no rejection. So the idea doesn't come from the legislature. I bet our colleagues from Vietnam will have their own experience, because you have one party, one party system. Everything will be decided by the political party. Different case with Cambodia. Cambodia, the centerpiece will be the office of the prime minister. That's how I know everything will be cooked up there. And it's the more centralized it is, the more difficult for civil society like you to proceed and try to educate, try to inform. It's just a very tough job to do. I don't recommend doing that. What I suggest to start with the process of institutionalizing budget is for you to develop this pool of experts that you can then implant either in the office of president or executive office, or in the case of Cambodia or Vietnam, can be the one who will be hired by the office of the prime minister, office of the chair of the parliament, speaker of the house. They can be the one whom you can rely on to speak and propose budgets that are more acceptable to you. It's very complicated, to be honest, to talk about budget appropriation, unless you understand the language. Trust me, they have all kinds of standards to look up. Like in Indonesia, for instance, at this point, it's best to go not just through the office of the president, KSP, ya, not through KSP, but Bappenas. because nowadays they hire experts there in Bapenas. Why? Because they have standards from SDGs, standards from ASEAN, like there. They are the one who will look up all the notes and think about, how do I negotiate with the Minister of Finance on this? So it's impossible, I should say, I'm very humble in saying this, it's impossible for you to understand their language and upgrade your capacity in an instant for that. It's better for you to align with somebody who are already an expert in budget issues and make sure they are part of yours. So your regular engagement should be with the economists, with experts of development, who then go be hired and spoke for you on behalf of to the government or to the Congress. That's my response to you, Pak Laura.
I fully agree with your statement. And I'm glad that we are hearing that. We just want also to include, because most governments make decisions on the basis of statistics. So another advocacy in the Philippines is to ensure that there are questions in their survey, gathering data related to disability rights. During the time of Mr. Seri and Mr. Bontan, we were able to include in our national survey 4 questions. That is 4 out of 6 questions related to disability data gathering. So I just want to share this idea because it is normal for governments to decide on the basis of statistics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ibu Dina, to be honest, you are not starting yet on reviewing the ASEAN Master Plan itself in our respective country, it seems like it. But I would like to know from your point of view relating to any policy that provided by the ASEAN. So how far how far it is influenced to the national policy or anything related to the, again, maybe we can put the priorities to the human rights, for instance. So how far you see the impact of this issue? Because of course we would like to voice out again and again about the issue of personal disability through the ASEAN, but we would like also to hear from your experience as part of the internal peoples related to the impact of anything related to the human rights issue through ASEAN's policy.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu Maulani, for the question. In general, across ASEAN, in the past 5 years, I'm talking in general, ASEAN member states took a more inward-looking foreign policy. What does it tell us? What does it mean to be inward-looking in foreign policy? That means the first priority will be domestic constituents and domestic priorities rather than regional engagements. One of the reasons is very sensible, the pandemic of it. A lot of the budget was reallocated for vaccine and for help for the needy. And some countries can be more lucky than others in terms of accessibility of support during the pandemic years. So that's one of the reasons. But another reason that's less of sensible in my view is that there's a growing populism tendency in ASEAN member states. Populism means that you use tools of policy or policy approach that is based on your increasing your popularity, and you will take anything that usually policy that gives aid to the group whom you think will give you political support. So programs like cash assistance, subsidies, but targeted subsidies becomes popular in ASEAN. And why is it impacting ASEAN? ASEAN as an organization, number one, they rely on annual contribution from member states. Now, that has been a challenge since the pandemic. Usually every year there will be an increase of budget allocation. At the very least, usually the rule of thumb is to get 5% increase, the regular inflation rate. But it starts getting tough since 2019. That's what I know. And I'm sure during the pandemic there may be a stalled number. Yeah, so just having all member states contribute, that's already fine. And every member states contribute equally. Even the richest country of Southeast Asia, like Singapore, contribute the same, like Cambodia or now Timor-Leste. So same. So you can imagine if you have an inward-looking and populism tendency of your leader, expanding activities in ASEAN will not be possible. It's rather limited. But if we can look up again the ASEAN Master Plan, which aspect can actually be pushed without ASEAN spending money? The economic pillar, the economic dimension of the economic master plan. I see it in myself. I don't have a study yet. I don't prepare this for this presentation yet in other ASEAN member states. But in Indonesia, for instance, to the inclusion of persons with disabilities in the protection, in the access to banks, having the ATM machine, having all those braille, on the keypads, and then obstacles for entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs to start up business, more money accessible. And I'm sure if you say, I'm a person with disability, I need this and this, communicate it to person in charge of the central bank in Indonesia, it's very easy to get some barriers removed. Financial literacy, yeah. Financial access maybe also. So, and then making sure there's equal opportunity for disabilities as consumers, as clients, as suppliers, as manufacturers, entrepreneurs. It's there. It's just the spread of the implementation that we probably don't have the data. But there are policies that are more supportive to persons with disabilities. Bank notes, debit card, bank apps, application, it's already very much, the central bank in Indonesia is very concerned about this. So that's why I was thinking, if the economists understand the value of your participation, it's a market, so they would see you as a very great asset rather than as a burden. So we need to change it from the mindset of the economist, and then startup centers for at the small medium enterprises level, funding information, how to support women. I think in general, if you discuss more of this, what you need with the monetary authority in your country, they will be very welcome. The other aspect that has been growing quite significantly, I think, is the discussion about smart city. Oh, it's very sexy for the government, right? To have a smart city. And in the smart city, most of the time I see the standard includes mobility, access for mobility, right? For person with disability, access to ICT, access to information using ICT. So there you go, you get it. You can get it, but you have to be there and show your face and say, we're a person with disability, we ask for this, so you can be part of it. Job creation, as I mentioned, there are more and more channels in Indonesia requiring companies, the big ones, to hire persons with disabilities. It's just, how to make sure that it's not just a symbol, right? But it's continuous, and they are not discouraged after they hire the person with disability, but they will continue and expand the number of disability. Awards in Indonesia, like the one I chaired just last year on employment award, to provide work accident benefit, death benefits, and then itu loh Bu, BPJS Ketenagakerjaan, insurance, employment protection. It's already including an item about a person with disability. So if they want to get an award, they have to show how inclusive they are, whether they have tried including a person with disabilities as their target group for CSR, for their as employee and stuff. So it's still a very beginning, but it's already there, and it's already a habit since last year. So I guess as tough as it is, the economic pillar turns out, I think it's more accessible, more than the legal, political pillars.
Okay.
I hope that answers it more.
And also, it is wanted to be spread to the other countries, maybe, like spread this kind of NGOs.
Yes. I truly believe, if you find the right push from the right person,
Yeah.
somehow somebody in the policy makers will think that this is a very good idea.
Because we have a lot of idea inside of the 76 strategy, and of course, when you would like to review, we have to see that the priority, which one. It is not only again from our benefits, but how we would like to see that the country is having this kind of modality to do that. So this is the one that we would like to see. And when we would like to say something in the tomorrow conference, it is the one that we can not only think about us, but also we would like to consider the capability of the countries itself, and also, of course, the ASEAN influence. So this is the one that we would like to know from you as an expert. So, yeah, thank you so much, Budina.
A lot of projects we do lately is about smart city, about ICT in ASEAN. So if you look at their projects, there are rooms to insert person with disability there.
Yeah, I guess from these two, I'd like to just only make a highlight before, of course, we always can have another rounds of Q&A. But I think I would like to emphasize that from Ibu Dina's suggestion and insight, I think we need to expand our network trying to work specifically with the expert. You mentioned about budgeting, development, sitting everywhere in the some bodies, both in local, national, and regional, as well as also trying to engage directly with the project, not necessarily with the ASEAN again anymore, like in the huge, like arrangements such as in the ASEAN Secretariat, but go to the ASEAN projects such as smart cities and so on and so forth. I guess this is the takeaway from our discussion from two participants. Yeah, okay, who else want to address comment on portion or question? I open this very golden opportunity to have this exchange, particularly before we go to the sum up of our takeaway points. Malaysia. Okay, Payne, go to you.
Good morning, Minglawa.
Minglawa.
I'm from Myanmar. My name is Payne. I'm the chairman of the Myanmar Federation of ASEAN with Disability. So, my point is discrimination of MFPD to attend the ASEAN 2013 regional consultation on midterm review and progress of master plan meeting held on 4-5 December 2023. Right? The meetings are supported by the Australian government. The organizing committee disciplinary MFPD, also Myanmar Human Rights Commission. So I would like to know and what to discuss on progress of Master Plan 2025 for Myanmar without all relevant stakeholders, including MFPD. This is a key point. So my suggestion is to review implementation of Master Plan. I would like to request responsibility body, that means ASA or ASEAN or something like that, need to invite all relevant stakeholders to have meaningful meeting and to examine the vulnerability of people in ASEAN and Myanmar. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, who else wanna give a comment or concern, question? Feel free.
Malaysia will be the next
Chair.
chair.
Yes,
This
yes.
year. Oh, next year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Right,
Sorry?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
very good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, thank you so much to Ibu Dina. It's like what you actually shared. Yeah, I find it's like very motivating. It's kind of like, will encourage us to actually look at it, all the issues pertaining to people with disabilities at a different angle, and taking the most opportunity available. So, in Malaysia, we always have there are some NGO actually organize the EMP session with people with disabilities or CSOs set up, But it's just that, I don't know, I'm just thinking it aloud. Perhaps maybe if, I'm not sure whether during the process of setting up or sharing idea for EMP, was it ADF involved? Or was it our agenda? Because they are moving forward with programs in our country through agenda to other organizations. Yeah, that was just like an idea where I'm kind of like having a thought in mind, and perhaps maybe it could be planned or channeled properly. Perhaps ADF could look at it. Yeah, and secondly, when you mentioned about Mr. Edmund, yeah, we work closely with him. I always meet him and trying to tap his expertise in certain areas. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasury Malaysia. Okay, two already compiled. Okay, let's go to you, Budina, concerning Myanmar and also involvement in India.
Okay. Thank you so much. I take notes of, I think ADF take notes of your concern to always include Myanmar in meetings. And of course, the most important part also is for you to share with us the status of person with disabilities in Myanmar. So this is a very important moment actually for us to tap more info from you. My colleague who used to be Myanmar representative to ICHAR has always been very informative of what's going on. So hopefully it continues. And then on Malaysia's point, Pak Hazari, if you look at the document of ASEAN Enabling Master Plan on page 18 onwards, there is a note of key agendas and outcomes of every meeting of the task force. Luckily, we put it together. If you can put it up on the screen, and so you just open the master plan and then see page 18 onwards. It's a good thing that we put this up. We have this record, who attended our meeting and what was discussed in every task force meeting. So we are being very transparent, and ADF has been involved from the very beginning. In Jakarta, ADF even had special interface with ICHAR, SOMSWAT, and ACWC. And JICA from Japan was the one supporting that process for sponsoring. And then every year, ADF always get invited. On the first meeting in Bangkok, December 2016, I recall we also invited ADF, but we didn't put it up there because it was just discussing the gaps and challenges, for the existing regional disability framework. We are not yet in the process of writing sort of like evaluation plans and what to produce from the task force, which was why it was not written there. All along, if you scroll down, ADF is there all along until the very last meeting. And I remember ADF representatives were also present when we announced the Enabling Master Plan in the summit in Bangkok. So, yeah, that was the process, Pak Hazan.
Okay, thank you, Budina, for the article that's so much legit, or accountable response, because it is written in the formal document in the master plan. So I think it's always somehow great if ADF can always ask, the progress of the implementation of the master plan, because since the very beginning, ADF already been part of the development of this master plan. So I think time's already becoming so much conducive to us to make a direct intervention again, because before we have like a movement limitation due to COVID. So I think it's now time is very good to push forward, whether it is still on the track, or it is already so much like delay, or whether it is so much postponed in some agenda. But I think it's a good occasion for ADF to really asking or issuing back whether the ASEAN also doing or no the commitment from their own product from their own processes. So that's maybe the things that we need to also take as an opportunity that the name of ADF is already been there basically. So no one can neglect us anymore. Any other concern or comment? Bumolani, of course, but if there is other intervention from other participants, maybe it's okay, Laos, Vietnam. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. I would like to start with the first days of master plan in Vietnam. It's the Vietnamese people with disabilities welcomed it, yeah, and but it is not expanded. It is not how to say disseminated widely by the government. So that's why I would like to recommend the ICHAR and the ASEAN body to to encourage the dissemination and the information about the master plan. Even until now, not many people, not many organizations, especially the government organization in Vietnam, and know about the master plan. Some sort is a very active, but this is not all the organizations of the government. So, and that's why I think the master plan would be more expanded, more disseminated in the. I think it should be there's some regulations or some encouragement like that, to ask the government to disseminate the master plan, to the government within the government sector, and with the efforts of Hanoi Independent Living Centers and some other OPDs in Vietnam. It is well known by people with disabilities, and we want it to be implemented so that we can do well for CRPD. And it is understood by Vietnamese people with disability that the master plan will be the guidance, for the implementation of the CRPD. And that is one reason that the government mixed it with the information about the CRPD. And another thing I would like to recommend is to now we are in the time of midterm reviews, and Vietnamese Samsat of Vietnam is now doing that, and it is the first time and the first organization of the government to request the participation of people with disabilities into the review process. It's a great. And Independent Living Centers and other OPDs in Vietnam, and especially the national level OPD in Vietnam's EVFD, have tried to organize meetings and workshops for the evaluation, and the assessment, and it is good, and I hope that the ICHAR can be more. ICHAR of our country can be more involved, in this process. Thank you.
Okay, let's pass on to Bu Mulani first. Okay, Laos. Go ahead.
Thank you. This question with Vietnam is about the circulars, the enabling master plan itself in the country. But for me, I would recommend to have something could be called the enabling master plan is meant to be the right of person with disability. But the reality that in the implementation, there is very limited in terms of the accessibility that mentioned in the endemic master plan itself. So it's quite lack of information required on this point. And like you mentioned earlier that we start like the job employment thing like that, but the practical, the accessibility is not there. Like I can try to find, but it's not mentioned any accessibility for person with disability in the mainstreaming master plan level.
Thank you. Kemudian
This is Monica speaking from Cambodia. I think our issue, it might be the same from Vietnam and Laos in the previous. It's remember me when the ASEAN master, historically ASEAN master plan is launching, is very limited to awareness aware in our country. So first for ourselves, it will be in terms of OPD and CSO. We launching this master plan, ASEAN master plan, by involvement from the government side. So right now, it already 2024 is a midterm review. It's the same that Vietnam mentioned. The ICHA representative, they have one, they use a consultant, something like that, to make the midterm review. So we are the one who provide any input regarding to the each pillars and implementation of our country. But in the previous one, honestly, we never known about the really main point of the ICHA representative. I can say probably in here we have the main name like in the paper that Morani mentioned, but in the previous it's something change the focal point. That's why normally we have one institution like ICHA Cambodia. It means under from the permission right something like that. When they move around. But for us, we directly to the some spot because we have another people some spot and involved with the ICHA. I'm not sure for what going on for the next step because next year in 2025, it also the last year of the ASEAN Master Plan probably could have something that we can say the mechanism or something like that in terms of extra than the only midterm review. Because the midterm review from my side, I think it's something that already said it and just ask something that mentioned on that. But we want to have a real course on the implementation in each ASEAN member state, especially in Cambodia. This is from my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least,
Just because I'm sitting in the secretariat, so maybe the question is more in the technical things related to how to review the mechanism of ASEAN. So I believe that Ibu Dida has already mentioned about SOM, but I would like to know further related to the review mechanism within the ASEAN and then how they reflected or they reported to the community. Is just like tomorrow, even this is one of the occasion, or this is only. So I mean, I would like to know the officials mechanism on that. So yeah, thank you.
thank you. I pass to Ibu Dina to have the midterm review along.
Okay, thank you for the response. I think it's true, yeah. It's unfortunate. One thing we didn't think through because we thought it was going to be very obvious after we have the enabling master plan, meaning that we launch it. I mean, we allocate the document to the summit level. It will be easier for us to get all member states to implement and including to involve the national authorities, including civil societies, on what to do. turns out it's not that automatic. Actually, the one who is supposed to disseminate the enabling master plan is the SOM-SWAT, because they are the state body who is embedded to implement the ASEAN master plan. And that was the very reason why we agreed to work with SOM-SWAT. So I guess you should report back to ADF, and then ADF consult again the ASEAN Secretariat and also the ICHAR if for some reason it doesn't work. If, for instance, the SOM-SWAT focal point is not responsive to you, or it's not clear who in the SOM-SWAT respond to this, or they're not familiar even with the document, then that's
the
even
challenge.
worse. But the one responsible, because we already put it up to the summit level, is the SOM-SWAT. Supposed to be the SOM-SWAT who disseminate the information. ACWC and ICHAR don't have the budget and the resources, operationals to do so. So this response to Ibu Maulani's question, what is the reviewing mechanism? Supposedly, it's the SOM-SWAT who reports, actively submit data to ASEAN Secretariat. This is what has been done by every member state. From what I experienced in the past when I was reps, usually they circulate some kind of template, like a questionnaire, that they can fill in what is progressing in your country for item the list, the checklist. So it's the responsibility for the SOM-SWAT to fill it in and then submit back. And then somebody in the ASEAN Secretariat will recap that and then talk to you about it as a public, or announce it to the public. But again, I'm not sure what's exactly the mechanism. You should talk to the ASEAN Secretariat to make sure that usually it's not a one-day process, of course, doing all of this, right? It requires several months to generate the data and then to process it and make it into a statement or so. So if you see there's a gap in the process, lack of participation, not enough time for you to review, and because if you look at the document, the ASEAN Enabling Master Plan,
And also there is no information to the community.
the community,
If they starting to evaluate or they're
right?
in the middle of the works on reviewing,
Yes.
our
You should be
rights to
informed,
know.
right?
We
Yes.
should be informed.
You should say that this Enabling Master Plan, every key action points always informs the society. And that was intentional, so that there are eyes and ears on the ground. SOM-SWAT will not have the resources to, because usually there's only one person or two maybe in SOM-SWAT to focus on pillars of ASEAN. So if you rely on them only and you don't even have regular communication with them, that will be tough. That will be really tough. I would like to highlight also the my response to who asked that? I forgot. The ASEAN, the blueprint for social culture mentioned some key points action that should be doable to you, very doable, like on page 16 of the Enabling Master Plan. It mentions specifically the importance to support various cultural resources so that there will be inclusion, dignity, equal rights of persons with disabilities, that the government will build environment for education, health, legal institution, law enforcement agencies, national human rights institutions, offices of service providers, public transportation, using the standards that are accessible to persons with disabilities of various gender and age groups. And then specific mention also about the need for member states to ensure the recognition of national sign language as the language for the deaf in all ASEAN member states. Very, very applicable. And then continuously develop the usage of the national sign language in the area of education in all ASEAN member states. I mean, they're very practical item you can take forward that definitely you alone can, but I mean, the governments also won't have the resources for something like this. So if you have suggestions on what you can propose, maybe, I don't know, a national meeting first about national sign language for all ASEAN member states, how far along has been and what resources, just to map things out. And then after that, you have experts dispatched to all ASEAN member states to advocate for that, and then come back with evaluation on how member states respond. I mean, look up again the Enabling Master Plan. If you are, it's too difficult to read the top part because it's very philosophical and we need to engage the leadership with that. Go to the table ones, the one where we color blue, yellow, and different colors for different pillars. That's very practicable, very easy to read. So don't get lost in the document, please.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Give applause again. Oh, there is one suggestion. Okay, let's help. Yeah, hold it. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Right, once again, as I said that, you're actually giving the spirit and motivation, yeah. So the thing what I had in mind is like, since Malaysia is actually going to be the host for 2025 ASEAN Summit, so I was thinking that would be very appropriate for, for us in Malaysia and work together with the ADF. We have a session perhaps to look at the master plan, and look at it thoroughly, and perhaps there's also the platform where each and every country would actually come up with all the reports concerned. And at the same time, when you highlighted on the sign language, yes, the national sign language we actually discussed in the morning, where Ibu Malani said perhaps it's also an issue that also could be actually part under ADF action plan for future. So currently the program is being supported by Nippon Foundation, and so I'm not sure if the Enabling Master Plan has got some form of funding for cross-disability or any section of it that mentioned about cross-disability funding or things like that in the master plan.
Whether the ASEAN Master Plan has a specific saying about cross-sectoral funding, I need to look it up again. I'm sorry, not the mind, but cross-sectoral cooperation. It's mentioned over and over across the master plan, but the funding specifically, I'm not sure. I have to check. Sorry, I'm not sure.
Okay, it is something that we. I think it's good that it is not the end of everything, so we need to reopen up again, discuss it again, and then later on we enrich one to another. But at least throughout the discussion this morning with Bu Dina, we got a lot of reflection, like points of reflection that at the very beginning, ADF has been actively participate, playing a very important role, giving an expertise, things on the development of the document. Apparently, throughout the implementation process, it's been lacking. We don't know yet, whether it's been already done, it's been implemented, or also something that, I think for tomorrow occasion, we need to reclaim again the active roles of ADF in this particular political development program in the ASEAN. I think we need to reclaim. Otherwise, it will be left again. So I think it's very good occasion for tomorrow to remind the ASEAN bodies that the IDF already get involved, in the beginning process, at the very beginning of process of this master plan. And the second point, I also learned that it's also a thankful thing, like a good sign also. It's not everything about the problem, challenges that make us so much, difficult to life somehow, to not enjoying our life, because from this exercise of in the Vietnam, that the government are changing their behavior. They first time inviting, open to have a participation with DPO organization. So I think it's very good, right? Even though it is, we always know everything in ASEAN is slow, but it is changing the behavior of the government, trying to also engage and involve. Later on, maybe we can discuss what kinds of levels of engagement are we going to be invited only for the consultation matters, or do we also have a kind of power to also decide the decisions? Maybe later on we can also explore about it. And then lastly thing, I guess the takeaway point, I think let's also be realistic. Yeah, there are some actionable points that already provided in the master plan that we can always take up, and maybe we can also come up with our own assessment. It is very much strong, I guess. The strongest, that's my opinion, the strongest assessment is coming from the community themselves. The country can come up with their own assessment or self-assessment. The ICHR or the body of disability national agencies can also come up with their own assessment. But when it comes to the confirming the validation from the community, they can say good things about their own program activities, but whether it is can be felt or faced by the disability or not, it is something that we are all there, to really feeling it. So by that, I think let's resume this session for this morning, and then we continue later on trying to come up with a concrete. And I'd like to give a very special thank to Ibu Dina, because she gave us a lot of skeleton, both on the substantial, both on the gap that we need to fill on, and also some clue, such as I highlighted several times in my notes. This is about a building mechanism, or a dedicated mechanism, in a way that we can always regularly can get the information, communication, and so on and so forth. By that, thank you so much, and let's have applause to all of us here. I go back to Ibu Wika and Molani, and how are we going to proceed after this? Okay, the picture, of course.
Yes, of
Uh,
course.
Picture, and then what else?
Before lunch.
And then we go to the group after lunch, yeah?
And please share the PowerPoint.
Okay, share PowerPoint, of course.
Oh, yeah, so it's
Okay, thank you so much. We're very glad that we have a green, the green light, and then we're now going to have a lunch at the downstairs, as always. Please look at Aulia. Aulia, please raise your hand. Aulia will distribute the lunch ticket to all of us, and then we will get back here at 1 p.m. for making the statement to the ASEAN Political Security Conference tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Foto dulu.
Crystal? Crystal? Yeah, okay. Your thumbs up.
How to sign inclusions? Or just holding hands like holding hands is ASEAN, okay.
Okay. 1, 2,